Hey, thanks for clicking on the thumbnail. Here's a great conversation that I had with a good friend of mine, Orlando Dos Santos. Dive into it. He does amazing stuff with dogs, and I'll talk to you at the end. We have Orlando Dos Santos from Results Dog Training in the house with us, and today we're talking distraction and attraction when it comes to walking our dogs.
Fantastic.
Orlando, thank you for joining us, mate.
Well, my pleasure. Great to be here. We've had a great new year. Yep.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. It's been a little bit of a break since we were here last.
Yep.
I know you've been busy writing books and doing all sorts of wonderful things.
Yeah, been doing a lot of that type of thing over the holidays, and so I've done it all now. So I've written a lot of books on both dog training and Christian leadership as well.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Great.
Hey, we're going to dive into today. We're going to talk about dog walking. Now, some of you may have picked up a new puppy over the holidays or just realised that your dog's not quite doing what you still want it to do after all this time. So we're going to dive into that. Now, Orlando, when it comes to dog walking and that, what are some of the things that we find when we're walking? Is it about disobedience? Is it distraction? Like, what causes our dogs to pull?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, and it also highlights a huge misunderstanding that we often think that this is either disobedience or a lack of training or something in that respect of compliance, but it is actually a regulation problem.
Okay.
Our dogs are finding it difficult to cope.
Yep.
And so what we need to look at is, are our dogs coping in that situation?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when we look at this whole thing, we're starting to look at what our dogs are attracted to and what is overwhelming for them. So in this situation, I love to look at the whole connection between distraction and attraction.
Yeah.
So we can either be attracted to distraction, which causes us a reaction, or we can be attracted to a connection which causes us to be regulated. Now, let me explain that. So a dog is out there walking. If they're feeling safe, they will feel regulated. They will feel emotionally safe, and they will hang around with us. If the distraction is too high, then they need to find a way to cope. And often this is where the tension happens. So what happens is the dog will start pulling towards a distraction, either because they're fearful or because it's too exciting or whatever it is. We start pulling back in the other direction, and we escalate the whole situation. So we're always looking at where the dog is feeling emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. So it's about where the dog is feeling emotionally and that. What are some of the things that cause some of that regulation or deregulation in our puppies?
Okay, so it generally comes down to overwhelm.
Yep.
And so how is the dog coping in their body, in their brain, in their emotions, in their environment, and is the environment too much for them?
Yep.
So each one of us have needs in our lives, and the dogs are exactly the same. I've identified them as 5 needs. Everyone has a different list, but I've got my own list. So my 5 needs are safety. So a dog wants to feel safe. We want to feel safe as well. Our dog wants to feel connected. We want to feel connected. That's why we have a need to love, to be loved, and to leave a legacy, which means having a connection with after we've gone. We also have a need for autonomy. So that means it's not just a need for safety and certainty, but also autonomy, which is experimentation, which is creativity, and living on the edge. And then we also have a need for regulation, which means peace.
Yep.
And the last one is predictability.
Okay.
So we can unpack a little bit more of that if you want.
You laid out 5 points for us. Can you just quickly give us those 5 points again, and let's jump into them? Okay.
So basically, we've got a dog on a lead. The dog may be with us because it's a strong connection, or there is a distraction. Once there is a distraction, the dog starts pulling. Often we need to look at what's happening under the hood. Yeah. We need to know what's happening and why is the dog pulling. I've brought it down to 5 basic needs, and it's the same for humans, and in my education background and also with dogs, exactly the same thing. The 5 needs that I've identified are safety. So dogs want to feel safe. If they are feeling unsafe and we put them on a tight lead, then what they feel is that their flight option has been taken away. Yeah. their sympathetic nervous system kicks in. It's fight or flight. I don't have flight anymore, so I've got to growl and make myself all snarly to try and get distance to get you away. So is there a safety issue there? If that is the case, then obviously as people, we need to start moving our dogs away to make them feel safe, so we're advocating for them.
Yeah.
The other need, and certainly with the safety, there's a sense of certainty that we want in there. The second need, I've put it down into SCARP, which is nice and easy. SCARP. So the second need is the need for connection. Now the dogs do have a need for connection with us, and they want to hang around us and all that type of thing. But if the distraction is too much, then obviously they'll start pulling away from us. Now as they pull away from us, we've got the other end of the lead. And so we're going to do a little experiment here. And so we've got a lead here, which is in sunshine colors, nice light blue. And you can't see this on the radio, but basically we've got Doug holding one end of the lead and I'm holding the other end.
We might get this on the socials a little bit later.
Yeah, okay, put that on the socials later. And just give it a nice little gentle pull, keep pulling, keep pulling.
The more you pull, the more I want to pull.
I know. And so I'm saying to Doug, who is my Mr. Doug, my doggy here, I'm saying, why are you pulling? And you're saying, because you're pulling.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do, and you can't see this on the radio right now, but I'm going to stop pulling, and Doug has stopped pulling, and Doug has got nothing to pull against.
And
so
can I just jump in on that? Just like the response for myself, like the fact that even the pulling just on my fingers, I get the tension and the pressure I felt in my body. I'm like, I want to hold on to this. Whereas the moment you let it go, it's like this pressure just released.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where regulation comes into it, because the pressure gets released. Now we think, if we stop pulling, our dogs are going to take off. Well, actually, it's quite interesting, because when we look at this, the physiology and also the psychology, when we attach a dog to one point on their harness or their collar, they feel, I've got to pull more.
Yeah.
When we change where we put the lead, we change that, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, SC was connection. A is to do with autonomy. Now, dogs want autonomy. They want to create. They want to sniff. They want to look around. They want to visit all their social media at every lamppost. So they want that sense of creativity. Same with us.
Yeah.
We want certainty, but as people, we also want that creativity and that exploration.
Yeah.
Then comes regulation. So each one of us wants regulation. We want peace. If we ask a lot of people what their main need is, they'll say, I just want peace in my life. Yeah. Well, dogs want regulation as well. And actually, the Bible gives us a good key towards that. It says, keep your eyes on me and you will be in perfect peace, Isaiah. So if we want peace, if we want regulation, then there needs to be that connection. Yeah. And once there is that connection, regulation pops in, peace starts to pop in, and we feel that sense of, I don't need to go out to my distractions because my connection with my guardian is much stronger. And then the final one, P, is predictability. We all want predictability. That's why we have so many discussions about what's going to happen after life and that type of thing. There's a sense of predictability that we need to have. Yeah. And so once we start to see that a dog is not pulling out of disobedience, but out of an unmet need of either safety, connection, autonomy, regulation, or predictability, then we can start to address those things.
We sort of wrap this up. I'd love to find out, like, how do we identify what it is that our dog is struggling with? Is it that safety that they're struggling with? Is it being able to regulate themselves? Like, what is it that? How do we know what our dogs are wrestling with in this space?
There are. Firstly, there's the unmet needs, which are the 5 we just spoke about. But also, I have another model, which is called the HELPS model, HELPS, and it's either health, environment, past learning, psychology, which might be emotional issues they might be having, or social issues. Some dogs, for example, don't want to be social. They just want to hang out with mum and dad, and that's basically it. And I just love this one that came through a little bit earlier about Millie, because there was obviously a beautiful connection there. And so when we start to read our dogs and we start to see that there is a kind of a pendulum that they're swinging on between attraction and distraction. And it's the same with our lives. We want to be, as a Christian, for me, I want to be attracted to God and do all the things of God, but sometimes we're distracted by the world, and then there's that pulling away. And so whatever gets our attention gets our action.
Yeah.
And so we look at our dogs and we go, well, are any of those needs unmet? Maybe the need for safety or whatever it is. But then we also look at it and say, is it a health issue? Is there something that's pulling on them which is painful?
Yeah.
Is it an environment issue? Is it too overwhelming for them? Is it a past learning experience? We might have a dog who's come from a rescue home and they're just not happy around other dogs. So we look at that. We look at the psychology, which is their emotions, and also their social and their social awareness. And when we look at this, we can start to then advocate for our dogs. Now, I use the word antecedent just before we finish the last one. ABC is the very simple way we teach behavior in every context. A is the antecedent. It's the thing that comes before the behavior. What can we change to make our dog's behavior better?
Yeah.
If they're overwhelmed with an environment, well, don't take them there, or take them there in small measures. Don't flood them. Don't put them right in there and say, you have to cope here. Every other dog I've read about has to cope in here, and you have to as well. It's too much for the dog. Yeah. And so the antecedent is basically what we can do to help our dog's behavior. And then we stop asking the question, why are you misbehaving, to what can I do to help you cope? Or can you cope in this situation?
Yep.
And we're the ones who are the thinkers. And so when we start taking pain off our dogs, we take pressure off our dogs emotionally and physically, we'll have a beautiful relationship. And that's the same way that we want all relationships to be. We want to have relationships that are guided gently rather than forced upon us and that are painful. So we bring the same thing into walking our dogs. And then also taking away the context of, I have to have my dog walking next to me on my left side. That was an outdated one because that came from competition. I've done decades of competition work. But now we're starting to have a look at the dogs and thinking, they just want to have regulation. They just want to go have a sniff. They come back, and when we militarize them and have them next to us walking the whole time, they come back and they're stressed, and then they destroy something. And then we think, I took you for a 5-kilometer walk, and why are you still upset? The fact is they haven't regulated. But let's take them out there for 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe an hour if you can, and let them sniff, let them enjoy life.
Yeah, I've noticed myself with our Mr. Bruce that comparing him to our other dogs, like some of our other dogs, like we did the whole, you've got to walk beside us, short lead and those things. Whereas, now we kind of have the longer lead. We take him down the park and give him that space. And if he finds something he wants to sniff at, I'm more inclined these days to let him sniff. And he comes home tired and that, whereas our other dogs used to be like, yeah, cool, they were tired, but there's a difference in how they respond. Like I'm observing that. I realise dogs are different in every way. Like they're all different personalities, just like ourselves. But yeah, I really have seen like giving that chance to breathe, to sniff, to enjoy has made a real difference in our walking.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. That is my message. I want to take it to the world.
There you go. Thanks for listening to and having been part of the conversation with Orlando. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone who is a dog lover like yourself. You're Doug, this is Mornings, and you're on Sunshine.